What up, knuckleheads? Austin's here. So, basically today, trade deadline. NBA, big deal, very big deal to me. Was very excited all day about it, and I figured why not sit here and try to record a video. Audio is probably horrible. It'll get better, I promise. I'm using the camera's microphone because I can't figure out how to hook up my own microphone to it. I don't have the necessary cables and everything, but I will be doing that soon, so it will get better. Camera quality is very good. I love this camera, just got it. So this is my first time using it, so I'm actually very excited to improve the quality. But we're going to talk about the trade deadline. I got my phone pulled up with Twitter right here just because Woj dropped all kinds of news today, and I want to be able to get to as much of it as I can. So last night, kind of kicking off the trade deadline, Delon Wright to the Kings for Corey Joseph. Helps the Kings to get a little bit more depth. Corey Joseph kind of gets out of a bad situation and kind of gets back into a worse situation, I guess, with Detroit. That's not ideal, but that's one of the smaller trades that kind of kick-started everything. Next biggest trade that happens, Cleveland trades JaVale McGee to Denver. I like that for Denver. They put JaVale McGee back in Denver. It's a very good situation for him. He comes off the bench. He's able to play critical minutes for a contending team, you can say, because some people do consider Denver a contender because Denver, they've been solid for the last few years. They seem like they're a couple pieces away. I'm not saying JaVale McGee's going to put them over the top, but they do have a good team. They have a solid team. Not long after that, one of the biggest trades of the day, probably the biggest trade of the day, Vucevic gets traded to Chicago. I love this trade for Chicago. They get an all-star center, someone who's been in all-star conversations for years now. To me, been one of the most underrated players in the entire league. He goes to Chicago. They give back, let's see, what did they give up to get him? They send Otto Porter, Wendell Carter, 2 future first-round picks. Wendell Carter's kind of panning out all right, but he's not great. He did get moved to the bench. That's something that Chicago definitely was keeping an eye on, and he's young still. And then Otto Porter, huge contract. Obviously not living up to that contract, even though Otto Porter is a very good player, don't get me wrong, but not living up to the 27 mil or whatever it is he's making. So Chicago ships them out, gets in an all-star center, tries to make a playoff push right at the deadline. I think that's a great move. Not long after that one, Boston trades for Evan Fournier. That gives Boston a good shooting guard to pair up with Jaylen Brown and then Jason Tatum. You got Kemba Walker as their point guard, obviously. I think it's a solid move for them. And I don't remember who they sent. Two second-round picks. That's nothing for Evan Fournier's caliber. So I really like that trade for Boston. And then the next move, Orlando just wanted to blow everybody up, and Aaron Gordon gets sent to Denver. Love that for Denver again. They get a power forward that's reliable. Paul Millsap's getting older, not as reliable as he used to be. So now they have a decent young team, and they got better. Denver's one of the winners at the trade deadline, and you can't really be mad about it. Right, not long after that, they did sing Gary Harris in that trade, by the way, to Orlando, which Gary Harris, solid player, but obviously not Aaron Gordon or anyone like that. Washington trades Troy Brown Jr. and Mo Wagner to Chicago for Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchinson. Daniel Gafford was a solid player, in my opinion. Even though he was just a second-year player, he still has time to grow. Do I think he's going to be a star? No, but I think he's going to be solid. But they didn't really give up on him, but Troy Brown, he's been having some good games here and there, playing good minutes for the Wizards. And Mo Wagner, he's really good rotational wise, very good role player for the center position, coming off the bench, gives you rebounding, gives you a little bit of scoring on the inside. So I think it's kind of a win-win on both sides. They keep the same about age. I think Chicago kind of wins that because they get Troy Brown. Chandler Hutchinson, to me, isn't doing great. But that's just me. Very small but significant trade. Namahi Bjelica goes to the Heat from Sacramento. The Heat add another forward, another very good rotational player to the already deep team that they had that did just made a playoff push with, made a finals push with. The Heat definitely are winners at this deadline. They also sent in that deal Mo Harkless and Chris Silva, 2 players that weren't playing significant minutes, weren't having a significant role in the team. One trade that went under the radar today, Toronto sending Norman Powell to Portland for Gary Trent And for Rodney Hood, Rodney Hood's been a solid NBA player for all of his career, honestly. I don't think he's ever really been bad. He's been in situations that weren't great, and he's not gotten the minutes that he deserved, but he has been in good teams, in my opinion. But now, Gary Trent, very good three-point shooter. He gets shipped off to Toronto. He might have more of a significant role over there, and he may get a little bit bigger of a contract since Toronto's in a kind of iffy state right now, if they decide to re-sign him. If not, he will go somewhere else where he is needed, which is very exciting for him. And then Norman Powell, he's one of the hottest players in the NBA right now, in my opinion. So if he's going to keep doing what he's doing, send him to Portland. Portland's trying to make a playoff push right now, and I think they can give people problems if they get fully healthy when Nurkic coming back not all too long from now. Now this one's a big one, so I'm going to have to read it straight from the phone. So Philadelphia acquiring George Hill from OKC for Tony Bradley and Terrence Ferguson. Terrence Ferguson ends up getting shipped to New York for the Knicks, I believe. And also 2 future second-round picks. Austin River also goes to OKC as part of the 3-team deal. OKC just piling up picks, apparently. I think Sam Presti has 34 picks in the next 7 drafts, which is insane. 17 in both rounds. I don't know if that's ever been done before. And if it is, let me know. But I don't think it has. That is, to me, absolutely insane. That deal was very complicated. I do have an OKC jacket on right now that is my team. I can't really be upset about that. I'm kind of excited for the future just because they can get a ton of young players. It's going to be really nice. Philly also gets a veteran guard in George Hill who's proven that he can sling the rock and shoot it as well. So, that kind of adds depth to their point guard position. Even though they have Ben Simmons, they could still play him at like a 3 spot, and Maxey kind of iffy because he's a rookie. Don't really know how much playing time he's been getting, but that gives them more depth and it gives them veteran leadership that they kind of lack because they are sort of a young team, even though they do have some veterans. Smaller trade, but kind of a big one at the same time. Rondo gets sent to the Clippers for Lou Will and second-round picks. That's kind of a big deal. Clippers needed that solid point guard that can kind of move the rock around, basketball IQ on an all-time high with Rajon Rondo. One of the best fake passes, that little fake behind-the-back pass that he does. He doesn't put the Clippers over the edge because I don't really know who's going to run away with the West, but he does give a much-needed point guard position to that team. And then Lou Will gets sent to Atlanta. I want to say again, I think he did play in Atlanta for some time. And he's probably going to come off the bench. He's not going to start. But, that's exciting too because Lou Will is one of the best 6 men of all time. And he's going to be able to help out that team as far as depth goes. Toronto trades Terrence Davis to Sacramento for a future second-round pick. Terrence Davis is still a very young player. I like his game. Going to Sacramento, that team just gets younger by the day, it seems like. They shipped out one of their oldest players in Bielitsa already earlier in the day, and now they get back a young shooting guard. Kind of like that move for Sacramento, and they didn't give up much for him because I doubt that second-round pick's going to turn into anything, but we can see. You never know because you never know what happens in the NBA. I know we talked about Mo Wagner earlier. He got flipped pretty much. They took Mo Wagner, sent him to the Celtics in return for Daniel Tice. Daniel Tice is a stretch player. I'm assuming he's going to play more of like a 4 position, but I may be wrong. He may come off the bench because of Lowry Markkanen, which is probably going to end up happening. A bench center. Daniel Tice as a bench center, that's not horrible at all. Chicago really did put together a good team today, and I'm really excited to see how that works while not giving up Kobe White, which I'm super excited about. Also, trades that didn't happen today. Kyle Lowry stays another year in Toronto. Very happy about that because I love whenever players stay put and they stay home. And it's obvious that he loves the city. He's one of the greatest Raptors of all. Is he the greatest? I think he's the greatest. He's probably the greatest Raptor of all time if we're being real. But you want to see him stay over there, and you definitely want to see him retire there. Hopefully he stays after next season or after the season's over because I think he becomes a free agent. But even if he doesn't, what a run that he's had. He brought a championship over there, multiple playoff appearances, I think all-time leading scorer, just all-time everything in Toronto. So, much respect to Toronto for not shipping him out. And Lonzo Ball for the Pelicans, he stays put with Zion. He's the perfect match for Zion, and he stays put at least till the free agency next year. Hopefully the Pelicans can work out something to keep him. If not, that's a bummer. But they're super exciting to watch play, and we're going to see more of that as the season goes on, thankfully. Talk about a buyout real quick. LaMarcus Aldridge bought out with the Spurs. He's going to sign to the Heat. The Heat's just making a bunch of moves all of a sudden. That's crazy. If only they had like a really good shooting guard. Oh, wait. They trade for Victor Oladipo. One of the trades that I was hoping would happen because I knew Victor Oladipo was going to sign to the Heat. So that's very good for the Heat. They automatically become contenders with even more so now without having to give up Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero, Pat Riley. Absolutely genius idea right there. But one thing that blows my mind is that Houston could have had Karis LeVert and Jared Allen. And they turned that into Victor Oladipo, who they traded away anyway. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what really Houston's doing because they don't really have first round picks because they traded them all for Westbrook, who they traded away. So, they have a big contract with John Wall. The Rockets are in a very weird spot. But you don't know what's going on, so I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what kind of happens with that. All right, I just looked at the rest of the news and everything, and I think that was everything I wanted to talk about. So I'm very excited to see how the second half of the season plays out, especially with the playoff pushes. Chicago, I'm going to be watching them closely. Miami, I'm going to see how they play for the rest of the season. They're probably going to be almost unstoppable with Jimmy, Bam, Dragic, Hero, Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo, all these great players over there. Precious coming off the bench, Bielitsa off the bench. Like they have some really good players now. So I'm excited to see what kind of happens with them. A lot of the season now is like up in the air because we don't know who's going to come out on top. We have no idea. Last year we kind of knew that the Lakers were going to be in conversation. AD and Bron are hurt right now. We'll see what happens. They're going to be probably healthy by the time the playoffs come, but we'll see what happens because that could make them face a tougher team that they don't want to do in the first round. Portland's another team I'm going to kind of have my eye on because they've been good, and then if they get healthy, they're just going to get better. CJ McCollum tonight, as the time I'm recording this, he I think had 35 points, 21 points in the first quarter. He said that he's like 90% healthy. So whenever he's fully healthy, it's obviously going to be very good. So I'm very excited to see what happens. But yeah, that's kind of it. I don't even know what I'm going to title this. I'm assuming just like trade deadline talk or reaction, something of that nature, because I just wanted to sit down and just talk about it. It's definitely not a podcast episode. It's just me having a conversation about basketball because I felt like it, and I felt like it was fitting because the trade deadline happened today, and that's one of the biggest days of the NBA season. So if you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, share, tell your friends that I upload, anything like that. It all helps. Obviously, I'm just doing this for fun, but I really do find enjoyment out of it. I'm going to keep it up, and I'm going to keep doing stuff. So if you liked it, please let me know. If you want any video ideas, I want to start doing in real life videos soon. So if you have any of those, just go ahead, throw them down in the comment section. Follow my socials; they should be down in the description or in the about section on my channel. But yeah, other than that, guys, it's been Austin, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.